Then we have an age for like different kind of age. Ages right here. So now if I want to just search for this Alex person, so how can I go about doing that? Well, I can achieve that by going or by iterating over through all of the pupils, and I'm going to use my find method for that, and I'm going to just provide my callback function as my arrow function, and I'm going to just use person.name is equal to Alex. So then just give me that one person right here. So I'm going to just use const res, and now let me just log to the console this res right here, and if I save my file, and here you can see it will now give us this Alex, I mean like the name of Alex with the age of 20 right here. It will not print us this alex right here with the edge of 30. Why is that? Because as I said, that it will only work for the first element inside the array. It will iterate over through all of the items, and it will check the condition. If it found one of them to be true, it will give us that same. But if you have like more than one, and it will not work for all of them, so it will just give us this one right here. Okay, so this is just a basic example of a find method. Now let me just give you one more example, and then you will have to perform a challenge. Okay, so I'm going to just write post array right here, and we will have a lot of posts right here, like with the id of 1. The content will be here. You will have to perform basic example of a find method. Now let me just give you one more example, and then you will have to perform a challenge. Okay, so I'm going to just write post array right here, and we will have a lot of post right here, like with the ID of 1. The content will be like I don't know, good post, a good post, and I'm gonna just duplicate that a few times. And this one will be now second post, this one will be a third, come on, third post, and this one will be the fourth one. Okay, so this one will be a good post, then this one will be a funny post. And this one will be a post Malone. I mean, like a sad post right here. Come on, post. And I'm gonna just remove the last one right here. So now if I want to iterate over through all of these items inside the array, and I want to just get a funny post because I'm a funny guy, so that's why I want to get this funny post, and I don't want to get the other ones. So for that we can use what do we call it there, find method. So I'm going to just write const post res for post results. I'm going to iterate over through all of the posts, and I'm going to use my find method. Let me just provide my callback function as arrow function, and I'm going to just use post.content is equal to funny or funny post. Then we just want to get that post, and now let me just log to the console. This post res right here, and I'm going to just save that. And here you can see inside a console, it will now give us the ID of 2, and the content will be funny post right here. Okay, so that's that. We can get like a sad post or good, I'm gonna just write good post right here, save that, and it will now give us this good post right here. But let's suppose if you have like the ID of 4 right here, or 5 or whatever you want to call that, and if I just write a good post right here and here again, so if I save my file, it will just only give us the first item but not the last one. I mean, like, not other than that, it will just only give us the first item right here. So if you want to get like all of them, so for that you can use the filter method, as we already learned a few seconds ago. Let me just use this filter method right here instead of that find, and I'm going to just save that, and it will now give us both of their results right here. So it will give us the ID of 1 and also the ID of 2. Why is that? Because this filter method, as the name suggests, that it will allow us to filter through items, and then it will give us that item. So it will iterate over through all of the items, and it will filter through all of them. If it found like if this condition matches, it will give us all of their result right here. So this filter method is more powerful than this find method, so you can choose them interchangeably like if you wanted to. So now let me just give you a quick challenge, and you have to perform this challenge by yourself. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution. I'm going to remove all of that coding from here, and the first thing I want you to do is that I want you to iterate over through this edges array which I'm giving you right now, and print only those edges which is greater than 18. Okay, so give it your best shot. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution. So I'm going to just write my function separately, because I also want to show you that like you can totally do that if you wanted to. And it will just return edge is greater than 18. So not edges, come on man, edge, come on. Edge there we go. And now let me just log to the console there, or let me just store that in some sort of a variable of res. and edges.find, and we want to just find these edges. I mean, like, we want to provide their callback function, and we want to just provide their result as a console. So it will now give us 20 right here because it found one of them to be greater than 18. So 20 is greater than 18, and it will just give us that 20 right here. So now I'm gonna give you a bonus challenge. You don't have to do that if you don't want to do that. Like, it doesn't even matter if you do it or not, but I'm just still giving you, just in case if you want to give it a try. So here is another challenge for you, and give it your best shot. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution. I'm gonna place it right here, and this is some ES ES5 code, and I want you to refactor. This is not ES5 code, by the way, but this is just an older way of writing that this is not ES5 code, by the way, but this is just an older way of writing that find method, so you can refactor this code. Code to a find method right here. So what are we currently doing? So first of all, we have this products array right here, and inside this products array we have different kind of items right here, and then we have this variable, and we are iterating over through all of their items. And what we are currently doing is that we are just searching for this books array, I mean, like this books right here. If it found one of them to be true, and it will now just push that book to this product right here, and then finally if you log that to the console, it will just give us that book with the name of Harry Potter, and category will be book, and that's them. So give it your best shot to convert this code into the ES6 find method, and if you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just remove that, and I'm going to just write const product, and I'm going to use my what do we call it, ES6 way. So I'm going to use products.find method, and I'm going to just provide my product, and in this case I'm going to use product.category is equal to books, and that's it, baby. And we have to save that, and here you can see it will still gives us that Harry Potter, but it will just ignore this learn PHP right here, or learn Golang, one of my favorite programming language. So here you can see we have it will not give us that learn Golang right here. That's because we are not using a filter method. If you are using a filter method, it will give us that Golang. programming language book as well, and it will also give us that Harry Potter one as well. So that was it about a find method in JavaScript, and next we are going to be learning about a reduce method in JavaScript. So now let's learn about array and sum method in JavaScript, and I am about to place a lot of comments which I'm going to be reading throughout. So I promise that would be fun. So I'm going to just place it right here, and here you can see. Now let's talk about the array method and the sum method, and they are not difficult thing to learn, but I want to read this out for you. So the array and sum methods are two built-in array methods in JavaScript that allow you to check the elements of the array based on the given condition. So we are going to be specifying some sort of a condition and also the callback function, and inside that callback function we are going to be passing some sort of a condition, and both the method takes a callback function as the argument which is applied to each element of that array. Okay, so what is the array method first of all? So the array method tests whether all the elements in that array passes the condition specified by the provided callback function. Okay, it returns true if the callback function returns true for every element and false if any elements false in the condition. Okay, or the condition, whatever you want to call that. On the other hand, we have this sum method, and the sum method tests whether at least one element in that array passes the condition specified the provided callback function. Okay, and it will return true if the callback function return true for at least one element. Okay, and false if no elements passes the condition. So this is what array and sum functions are. And now let me just give you a quick example, and then you will get to know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to just write const, and I'm going to just create a pupils array right here. I'm going to just store like a few pupils like Jordan, and I'm going to also store Alex in this case. And in this case, I'm going to just write pupils down array. Okay, so I'm going to just specify a callback function right here, and I'm going to just check if people.length is equal to 4. It will give us true if this condition which we are specifying right here is true for every item inside this array right here. Okay, so it will give us false if one of them is false. It's kind of like a or and logical or and logical and operators, but anyways, that was another story. So I'm gonna just write res, and I guess res1 would be fine. And now let me just log to the console this res1. Now if I save that, and here you can see it will now give us false right here. Now let's just check. HUXN, these are 4 characters, not 4, yeah, HUXN, these are 4 characters, but this one is not 4 characters, so that's why we are getting false right here. JORDAN 1 2 3 4 5 6, so it is now 6 characters, that's why we are getting false right here. But if I just write like I don't know, John right here, and if I save that, and here you can see it will now give us true, because it will iterate over through all of the items right here inside the array, and it will check if this condition is true for all of that item, then it will give us true. But if this condition is like fail for one of the item inside the array, so then it will give us false. So I'm gonna just change that to Jordan one more time. So that was it about the sum. I mean, like that was it about that true for one of the item inside the array, so then it will give us false. So I'm gonna just change that to Jordan one more time. So that was it about the sum. I mean, like that was it about the array. As the name suggests, that it will run that condition for every element inside the array. And now let me just write const res2, and it will be now equals to pupils dot array, and then this one will be sum. I'm gonna pass my callback function. Let me just go back. Come on, let me just go back, and I'm gonna just write my arrow function pupils dot length is less than 3. Let's suppose if I just write less than 3. And now let me just log to the console this res2 rather, and I'm gonna save my file, and it will now give us false right here. Why is that? Because this length is not less than 3, this length is not less than 3, and this length is also not less than 3. So all of them are false, so that's why we are getting false right here. But if I just write write like A, B, and if I just write A, and if I just write C or something like that, and if I save it, it will now give us true right here, okay? So, or you know what? If I just write A, B, C for this one, A, C, C for this one, and this one will be like less than 3 characters right here. So if I save that, and it will, come on, it will still gives us true right here, because it will be searching for one of the items to match this condition. So if it found one of the item who is matching this condition, so it will gives us true. It doesn't matter if I write like anything right here. If I save there, it will still gives us true right here. Why is that? Because it is searching for one of the item inside the array who matches this condition. If it found one of them to be true, it will give us true right here. This one will be searching for one of the item. If it found one of them to be false, it will make the entire statement false, and this one will make the entire statement true. So that was the difference between every and some. And now let me just give one more example, and I guess that would be it. I'm going to even remove that. I'm going to place this array right here, so we have that same songs array right here. And now I'm going to use my every and some method right here. I'm going to use every res, the result of every method, and I'm going to just use songs.every method. And I'm going to just pass my callback function songs.duration, not songs, but just a singular songs.duration is now greater than 3. So just print their song. So every res. I'm going to save that, and here you can see it will now give us false. Why is that? Because we'll search for all of the songs whose duration is greater than 3. If it found one of them to be false, so it will make the entire statement false. If it found one of them to be true, then it will give us that true right here. In this case, there are a lot of them, I guess. So songs greater than 3, this one is greater than 3, this one is greater than, all of them is greater than, not this one is greater than 3. So it will just skip both of these two, and this one is greater than 3, this one is greater than 3, and also this one is greater than 3. So that's why it is now giving us false for all of their items. And now let me just use console sum res, like response for the sum item. So I'm going to use songs.sum in this case, and I'm going to just pass my callback function, and I'm saying a lot of time, like songs response. Let me just use songs that duration is greater than 3 in this case. And now let me just log to the console this sum res. I'm not saying that by purpose, but I don't know. I'm gonna save that, and here you can see this one will now give us true right here. I don't know. I'm gonna save that, and here you can see this one will now give us true right here. Why is that? Because it will search for one of the item to be true. If it found one of them to be true, it will give us the result of true. On the other hand, it will just search for one of them to be false. If it found one of them to be false, it will give us false. So that was it about error, not error, but that was it about array and sum method. And now let me just give you a quick challenge, and you have to perform this challenge by yourself. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution, and then I want to give you my solution. So I'm going to remove every single thing which I have inside this file, and I'm going to replace it with this one right here. Now you might be thinking like, Hussein, there's a lot of coding. No, it's not. So here is the code. In some places I use the ES6 and in some places I use the ES5. So I want you to refactor this code to use the array and sum method. Okay, so give it your best shot. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution. And now here is my solution. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just remove that stuff from here entirely. I guess that will be fine. I'm going to remove that from here. We just have our array right here. And now let's just check for, do all products have a category of books, question mark. And now let's just check for that. So I'm going to just use, come on, question mark, and now let's just remove that empty space from there. And I'm going to use let all products books, and it will be now equals to products at every. Okay, so that's why all, for all we are going to be using array, and here we are going to be just specifying our product. And now let's just return like product dot category, and it will be now equals to book. um so yeah, or book or books to be precise. So now let me just log to the console all products category. I'm gonna save that, and it will now give us false right here because this one of them have the category of books, but not for all of them. So that's why we are getting false. And now let's just check for do any products have a category of books. Okay, so now let's just check for that. I'm going to use some products books, and it will be now equals to products.sum. I'm going to provide my product in here, or products or product. I'm going to provide my product rather, not plural, but just a singular, and arrow function like so. And I'm going to just use category is equal to books as well, not a capital but a lowercase OOKS. There we go. I'm going to save my file, but I'm going to also have to uncomment this line out. And if I save that, and here you can see it will now use a true right here because it will run for all of them. I mean, like, it will run for all of them, and it will found if one of them is true, it will give us true. If all of them is false, so then it will give us false right here. So that was it about a sum and every function in JavaScript. Next, we are going to be learning about a find method in JavaScript. So now let's learn about array reduce method in JavaScript. So I'm going to remove this coding from here. And this is what array reduce method is. So the array reducer method applies the reducer function to each element of the array, accumulating the result into a single value. So this is what this reducer method will do for us. And it is often used to perform calculation or aggregations on array elements and simplify the array into a single value. So basically what this reducer method will do for us is that first of all it will take some sort of what do we call it, array. and inside this array we will have like some sort of items inside this array. So I'm going to just write 1 2 3 right here, and if we call this reducer method, so first thing it will do, is that it will take a callback function. Inside that callback function, we are going to be providing some sort of a logic. And then the reducer method will run for each item inside the array. So it will first of all run for this item, then it will run for this item, then it will run for this item right here. And it will take these values which are currently available inside this array, and it will just make it one value. And the reducer method does not execute the function like a copy of that array, and it will just make it as a simple or a single item inside the array. So that was a lot of theory behind this reducer method right here. So now let me just give you a quick example, and then you will get to know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to just create a numbers array right here, and I'm going to just store a few numbers like 1 2 and 4 5. So I'm going to just store that, and now I want to run this reducer method on this array. So first of all, I'm going to just write like const sum, because I want all of these items to be added, and I just want to get a sum of this array. So I'm going to just write numbers, and I'm going to use my reducer method right here. So the first parameter it will take is the callback function, and the second parameter it will take a current index. Okay, so I'm going to just provide my callback function right here, and I'm going to just provide two values right here, like a p for a previous and c for the current stat right here. Okay, so I'm going to just remove that stuff, and now let me just provide my curly braces right in here. Currently, I'm going to just provide 0 right here in this case, and if I roll my mouse over to this array right here, so here you can see it will now give us like calls the specified callback function for all the elements in the array. The return value of the callback function is the accumulated result. And is provided as the argument in the next call to the callback function. Okay, so then it will give us like it will take a callback function. It will also take an initial value which we are currently specifying right here, and that's that. So inside this array, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just return p plus c. And what do you think will be the result if I call this function? Or if I just log to the console this sum right here, so what do you think will be the result if I save this file And if I check it out, so here you can see it will now give us 15 right here. It will give us the sum of all of these items, and it will now give us that sum right here inside a console. So everything is working the way we expect him to work. I know you are still confused about what in the world is this P, what in the world is this C, and what are we currently doing. So this P is the previous value of our array, then this C is the current value of our array. So now let me just log that to the console, and then you will get to know what I'm talking about. So let me just comment this out, and I'm gonna just console log this like a previous, Previous, and I'm gonna just log to the console this P, and I'm gonna also just log to the console like a current right in here, and I'm gonna also write a C right here. And now let me just uncomment that, and now if I save my file, and here you can see it will now give us first of all the previous index was 0. Here you can see this is the P, so this P like a previous value was 0. Why is that? Because currently we are providing this 0 right here. Okay, so that was our previous value. So then we have a current index right here. Here. So once we iterate over through this array, so it will now give us 1 right here. So here 0 plus 1 will give us only 1 right here. Then we have this previous state one more time. Then it will now check this array like it is executed one more time. It is executed one time. Let me just highlight that for you so then you'll get to know what I'm talking about. So first of all, in the first iteration, our previous value was 0. And now we are going to be adding this 1 right here. So it will now give us 1 right here. So it will just gives us 1. Because 0 plus 1 is 1. So now the next iteration will be starting from this. So we currently have this 1 right here. So inside our previous value right here. So our first iteration was done because here we just write our 0 right here. Then we are going to be jumping into this first value inside this array right here. So I'm going to just write 1, and then we are going to be adding our current index. So what do you think will be the current index? If we check it out, so here you can see our current index in the second iteration is 2 right here, because here we specify this 2 right here. So we are going to be just writing 2, and 1 plus 2 will give us, you guessed it, 3. So what will happen to the third iteration? So here you can see our previous value now in this case is going to be 3. So we are going to be just writing like 3 right here, 3 plus, and what is our current index? Our current index is 4 right here. Here you can see 4. I guess I messed up something, because here you can see we have this 3 right here. So then we have to also check this third one as well. I forgot that. So we are going to be also writing this 3 right here. So I'm going to just write 3, and in this iteration it will now give us the value of 6. So now that we have our previous value of 6 right here, which I'm going to place it right in here. So now let me just write 6, and now what will be our current stat? So now if we check it out, so here you can see our current stat was 6. We added that right here. So we want to add this 4 right here, because here, so now these iterations are done, and now you want to iterate over through this fourth one as well. So we are going to be just writing 6 plus 4, and it will now give us 10. Okay, so now we have the value of 10 right here, and now in the final iteration we have this 10 value. So I'm going to just store this 10. I'm going to write my plus symbol, and then we have to check this 5 right here. So 10 plus 5 will gives us 15 right here. So we are going to be just writing 15. Let me go back, and this is how currently things looks like. So I'm going to say my file, and here you can see it is now giving us this 15 right here inside a console. So now let me just log that to the console, and now let me just discuss that one more time. So currently what we are doing is that we are iterating over through all of these items which are currently available inside this array, and we are creating a new array based on this reducer function or method, to be precise, right here. And this reducer method will take one callback function and the current value or the previous value right here. And then here we are specifying the previous value. Some people call it like a accumulated value or accumulated, whatever you want to call that. The name doesn't matter. You can specify whatever you want to provide right there. But here we are going to be just specifying our previous state, and here we are going to be specifying our current state. So once our iteration starts, our current value will be 0, and then we are going to be adding this 1 right here. So why are we going to be adding this 1? Well, because here you can see we have this first item inside this array is 1. But now you might be asking yourself is like, where in the world is this 0 came from? This 0 came from here. Here you can see we just provide this 0 right here. So here you can see we are now getting this 0 right here. So 0 plus 1 will give us 1, and then it will take this one value and it will put it right here, just like that. And here this is going to be our previous state, and in the next iteration, so this iteration is done, then it will jump to this iteration right here, this second iteration, and in the second iteration we previously have this one right here, so we are going to be adding this 2. So 1 plus 2 will give us 3. So now we have this 3 right here, so we are going to be storing that inside our memory, and we are going to be storing that as a previous state, and then we are going to be adding one more 3 right here. So this 3 is coming from this third iteration, which you can see right here. Then it will give us 16. 3 plus 3 will give us 6 right here. Then we are going to be taking this 6 and we are going to be placing that, and then we are going to be adding our fourth iteration right here. So 6 plus 4 will give us 10, and then we are going to be taking this 10 value and we are going to be putting it right here as a previous state. And then we are going to be adding the final iteration. It will give us 10, 5. So 10 plus 5 will give us 15. So then we are logging that to the console, and we are getting the result of 15 right here inside the console. So that was the basic example of what a reduce method is. So now let me give one more example, and then you will get to know a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write const pupils, or pupils will be fine. Inside this pupils array, I'm going to create a few objects right here. I'm going to write my name of Hussein web dev, And now let me just write my age right here of like 19-year-old. So I'm going to just duplicate the array, like that object inside the array right here. And I'm going to just change these names, duplicate the array, like that. I'm going to write, yeah, a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write const pupils, or yeah, pupils will be fine. Inside this pupils array, I'm going to create a few objects right here. I'm going to write my name of Hussein web dev. And now let me just write my age right here of like 19-year-old. So I'm going to just duplicate the array, like that object inside the array right here. And I'm going to just change these name to like something else. I don't know. I'm going to write like Alex Mead or something like that. And he will be 29-year-old. And I'm going to also change that to Brian Griffin from Brian Griffin from the Family Guy. And I'm gonna just write 40 right in here. Let me just write 40. And now if I save my file, so here you can see we have this array, and inside this array we have a few objects right here. Inside these objects we have a few properties and its values right here. So that's that. So we are going to be using array reduce method with ternary operator in JavaScript. So I'm going to just write like, so now I want to get like the oldest guy inside this array right here. So how can I go about doing that? Let's suppose if you have like, I don't know, 1,000 people or something like that. And you want to just get the oldest guy from this list. So we can achieve the same result by using the filter method, but in this case we are learning about reduce method. So I'm going to just write reduce method right here. So I'm going to just write like oldest age or something like that. And then I'm going to use people.reduce method. Come on, reduce, and it should be pupils, not just a singular pupil. Okay, and now I'm going to just call that. I'm going to provide my previous state and current state. And now let me just write currently. I'm going to just write 0 right here because we are iterating over through the edges in this case. And you know what? Instead of writing these curly braces, I can write that as a one-liner. So I'm going to just write first of all my parentheses or explicit return. So I'm going to just write c.age is greater than p. And then I'm going to just write c.age. So if that condition is true, we are now iterating over through all of these items right here, and we are providing this previous state right here and the current state. So inside this current state, if the current state edge property, we are checking this edge property of all of these items right here, or peoples to be precise. And we are checking if this, if this current state dot edge is greater than the previous state, which we are specifying right here. So then just gives us c dot edge right here. This result, if that's not true, then just gives us this p right here like a previous state. And now let me just log to the console this oldest edge right here, and I'm going to just save my file. And here you can see it will now gives us 40 right here. Why is that? And because this 40 is the highest value inside this overall array right here. So that's why we are getting this 40 right here. So this is reduce method with ternary operator. You can refactor this code to like if and else statement or switch and cases if you wanted to, but in my case that was it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give you one last example, and then it will be time for you to try it out by yourself. So I'm going to just write words right here, and it will be now equals to a few words like, I don't know, or maybe I'm going to just write fruits. I'm going to write like a fruits. I guess that would be a better example. And I'm going to write like a banana, and then I'm going to just write orange, and let me add my banana one more time. Okay, so then I'm going to also write like apple one more time, I guess. And then I'm going to also write my orange. Let me write this apple one more time. And finally, I'm going to just write grape. That will be fine. So this is my array currently right here. And now I want to iterate over through this array. And we just want to get unique values from this array. Like we just want to get apple, banana, and orange, and I guess grape as well. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write like const var frequency. Okay, so come on, not this WOR. There we go, word frequency. So we are going to be just writing like words dot reduce method. We are going to be using our reduce method, and I'm going to just provide my frequency reduce method. We are going to be using our reduce method, and I'm going to just provide my frequency map. Okay, so this is going to be our first item, frequency, just without an e. And then here I'm going to just pass my word right here. Okay, and I'm going to just write my frequency map, and I'm going to just provide my word right here, and it will be now equals to this frequency map. Come on, frequency map. And here I'm going to just pass my word one more time, and now let me just check if that's equal to 0, or then we have to just plus that. And now let me just return this frequency array right here. And now finally, in this case, we are going to be providing this object right here. Okay, so now let me just log to the console this word. Come on, I'm going to copy that, and now let me just paste that right here. I'm going to save that, and here you can see it will now use us this apple of 1, banana of 1, and grape of 1, and orange of 1 as well right here inside the object. Why is that? Because currently here we are specifying the object, and you can provide arrays, you can provide anything you want. Okay, so that was a third example by using the reduce method in JavaScript. So now let me just give you a quick challenge, and you have to perform this challenge by yourself. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution. I'm going to remove all of that stuff from here. And now let me just pass this instruction right here. here. So the first thing I want you to do is that I want you to write a function called this calculate product that will take an array of numbers as an argument and return the product of all the numbers in that array. And by a product, I mean like multiplication of that array. We are going to be specifying some sort of a numbers. So then it will give us the multiplication of that array. By product, I mean that. So write the calculate product function using the reduce method to achieve this task. So something like this. So your code should execute like this. So here you can see we have this numbers array right here, and we are just specifying like 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to be specifying it right here inside this calculate products function right here. And we are going to be specifying this numbers array right here. And as output, it should give us like 120. Okay. So it will give us the product of the array, which will be 120. So give it your best shot. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch the solution. So here is my solution. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just cut the stuff from here. And now let me just, oh, you know what? Let me just copy that from here, and I'm going to just comment it out for you. And now let me just paste it right in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that let me just create that function. I'm going to just create a function with the name of calculate product, and it will take array as a parameter. So I'm going to just write like Now let me just write const product, and it will be now equals to array.reduce method, reduce. And here we are going to be just specifying our accumulators. First of all, ACCUMLATOR. I guess this is how you spell it. And I forgot the U right here, so I'm going to just add that. And here I'm going to just provide my current value. There we go. Some people write this code like that, and I just like to call this one a previous and this one a current. Anyways, so it doesn't even matter. And I'm going to just, instead of writing these curly braces, I'm going to just write my accumulator times current value. So I guess that would be it. And finally, let me just return, or you know, we can also return in one liner. We don't even have to write this product. So I'm going to just return that stuff from here. Okay, and it will do the job. So I just create this function right here, and I'm just specifying this array as a call to this function. I mean, like, yeah, I'm just passing this array as a call to this function. And now let me just save that. And here you can see it is now giving us 120. But if we change that to something else, like, I don't know, if you change that to like 20, 10, I don't know, 40, 50 or something like that, and here you can see it will now give us that amount of product. If I just write 120, it will now change the product right here, 10 and 20. So now if I save that, and here you can see it will now give us 200 right here. So everything is working the way we expect him to work. And that was it about reduce method in JavaScript. So now let's learn about a map data structure in JavaScript. So I'm going to review all reduce method in JavaScript. So now let's learn about a map data structure in JavaScript. So I'm going to review all of that stuff from here, and I'm going to just place this comments right here. So what in the world is a map and why you should care about that? So map is a built-in data structure introduced in ECMAScript 6 that allow you to store a key value pairs where both the keys and the values can be of any data type right here. And it is similar to the object but with a few key differences. So in maps, keys can be defined of any data type, like unlike objects where keys are limited to just strings and symbols or anything like that. But maps allows us to use any data type as key, including the numbers, booleans, objects, and even the other map instances right here. So it also allows us to maintain the insertion orders. So map preserve the order of the key value pair as they were inserted, while object keys may not be guaranteed to be in a specific order. And it also allows us to iterate over through some stuff, so iteration, and maps provide built-in method for every iteration over its element. Okay, so that was just a quick definition of what a map is. And now let me just give you a little bit of a real world coding example, then you will get to know what I'm talking about. So if you want to create a map, first of all, you are going to be just writing the new result keyword, and maps are something called constructors, and we are going to be learning about constructor later in this course or maybe in the upcoming course. And I'm going to just write map right here. So this is how you're going to be creating a map. So now let me just store that in some sort of a variable. So I'm going to just give a name of like map. And what I'm going to do is that let me just log to the console this map right here. If we save that, and here you can see it will log uses this data structure right here with entries, but we don't have any properties, no values, and here you can see the size is set to 0. So now if you want to provide a new value to this map right here, so the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to just first of all create some sort of a value, and then I'm going to just add that to this map. So I'm going to just write like, I don't know, const key 1, and it will be now equals to like a string or something like that, and then const key 2, and it will be equals to like I don't know, maybe in this case empty object, and then const key 3, and in this case it will be now set to some sort of like anonymous function right here. So now if you want to provide these variable as the key to this map, so first of all we are going to be just writing like a map dot set method, and now if I hold my mouse over to it, and here you can see it will now uses their definition like it will add a new element with the specified key and value to the map. If an element with the same key already exists, the element will be updated. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that first of all, let me just add my key 1 right here, and I'm going to just provide a comma, and now let me just provide a value to that key. So here you can see we have this key of string, and now you are going to be adding some sort of a value like value of key 1 right here. And now let me just log to the console this map, and now if I save that of key 1 right here, and now let me just log to the console this map, and now if I save that, and here you can see it will now uses the key of string right here, and the value is now set to value of key 1 right here, which I'm specifying right here. Okay, so the next thing which I am going to do is that I'm going to use that map set method one more time. So it will allow us to set the key and the value. So I'm going to just write key2 in this case, and I'm going to just write like value of key2. And now let me just add this final one as well. I'm going to write key three in this case, comma value, come on, value 4 or of key 3. I guess that would be fine. Okay, so now if I save my file, and here you can see it will now uses this map right here. So we have this first property right here, which is holding this data as a object right here, because this is a data structure, and it is now providing a key of string right here. Why is that? Because here we are just storing this key of string right here, but we can give any name we want, like Hussein. If we save that, and here you can see it will now give us that value of Hussein, I mean like that property of Hussein, and the value of that value of the one, I mean like value of key 1, and then it will give us the object, and value of key 2, and it will now give us function value of key 3 right here. Okay, so this is how we are going to be setting the properties and the values to this method right here, or map to be precise. And map also provide us with a few methods, so I'm going to just use like console.log, clg console.log for map.keys, and now let me just execute that. So it will now give us the amount of keys we have inside this map. So I'm going to just save that, and here you can see it will now give us this iterable object right here. And if you expand that, and here you can see it will now give us like the first value, the second value, and the third value. You can see it will, and here you can, so it will now give us the amount of keys we have inside this map. So I'm going to just save that, and here you can see it will now uses this iterable object right here. And if you expand that, and here you can see it will now uses like the first value, the second value, and the third value. And now let me just duplicate that, and we have one more one. So if you want to check the values, so we are going to be just writing like a values right here, values. I'm going to save that. So here you can see it will now just uses these values right here. So value of key 1, key 2, and value of key 3 right here without these Hossein and object and function right here. So it will now use us this key like value for key 1, value for key 2, and value for key 3 right here. We have one more. So let me just comment this out. So we have one more. Let me just write console.log. So if you want to delete like I don't know, some sort of a property or a key from that map, so we are going to be using this delete method right here, and then here we are going to be specifying the key name. So in this case we are going to be just writing key 2, and now let me just save that, and here you can see it will now use as true right here. But now if I log that to the console, and now if I save that, if you check it out, so here you can see that key 2 was gone. Where we store this empty object right here. So here you can see we don't have any empty objects right here, so we just have Hossein and we just have this function right here. Okay, so this is how we are going to be deleting a key from this map right here. So the next thing which I'm going to do is that we can also check the size. So I'm going to just write like map.size, and now let me just save that, and here you can see it will now give us the size of 2. Why is that? Because here we are adding 3 items right here, and here we are getting this 2. That's because here we are removing that key 2 from here, so that's why we are getting this size of 2 right here. So that was it about a map, but now let me just show you how we are going to be iterating over through a map, and how we are going to be getting the keys and the values by using iteration method, which we've already learned in this course. So we are going to be first of all writing the for off loop. So we are going to be using like let, and then here we are going to be specifying the key and the value right here, and we are going to be just writing off, and then the map method right here, not a method to be precise, not a method but the map data structure right here. And now let me just log to the console this key, and here I'm going to just provide a 2 dashes for myself, and now let me log this values as well. So now if I save that, and here you can see it will now use the key, then the dashes, and then the values right here. This is how we are going to be iterating over through our map, and this is how we are going to be extracting or getting the values from that map. I'm going to comment this line out, and now we can also iterate over through just like the keys. So we can just write let key of map.keys, the function which we learned just a second ago, and we can just log to the console this key right here. So now if I save that, and here you can see it will now just gives us these keys right here. So we have the key of Hossein, we have this empty object, and we have this function right, like anonymous function right here. Okay, so this is how we are going to be getting the keys, and this is how we are going to be getting even the values as well. So now let me just comment this line out as well. And now let's learn about how we are going to be iterating over through the values. So we are going to be first of all writing for let value of map dot values right here. So I'm going to just execute that method right here, and now let me just log to the console this value. And now if you save our file, and here you can see it will just gives us all of these values which we are providing right in here. Okay, so that was just the basics of what a map is and how it works, and why you should care about learning maps and how should you use maps in your project. So maps is nothing much, like nothing special, but it is just advanced way of object to store your keys and values inside your object. Anyway, so now I'm going to give you a quick challenge, and you have to perform this challenge by yourself. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution, and then I'm going to give you my solution. So I'm going to remove all of that stuff from here, and now let me just place that right here. So the first thing I want you to do is that I want you to create a new map right here, then set these properties like A, B, and C. Then set these values as these properties like 1, 2, and 3, and then get the value of A from that map. Then check the size of that map, delete the property B, and check the size of that map. So give it your best shot. If you can do it, that's completely okay. Then watch a solution. And here is my solution. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write like const of map1, and I'm going to just write like new result keyword and map right here. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just write map.set method again, and I'm going to just provide the key or the property of A right here as a string, and I'm going to just provide 1. Now let me just duplicate that like 2 times. This is going to be our B, this is going to be the C. And now let me just write 2, and this is going to be the C. I mean like the 3. And now let me just log to the console map1 dot get method of A, just the A. So if you just save that, and here you can see why don't we getting this A? We are providing A, B, C. Why aren't we getting that? Let's just refresh it. Oh, that's because here we are specifying just map. It should be map 1 to be precise. So I'm going to just write map 1, and I'm going to just save there. And here you can see it will now just get only one item right here. Okay, we also have to check the size, so I'm going to just write like map1 dot size. And now if you save that, and here you can see it will now use just 1. And now let me just delete one item from that map. So I'm going to use map1 dot delete, and I'm going to just delete this p1 right here. And I'm going to also check out the size of that. So I'm going to just comment this line out, and now if you save there, and first of all it will gives us 3, and once we remove the second, like the B